session. I'm your host, Mr. Marketology, and I am so happy to have Ed Moyce from Journal Requests on with me today. And we're going to talk about becoming an authority by leveraging uh, press in a different way. I know everyone's so used to leveraging press by sending out press releases and hopefully getting picked up and so forth. But we're going to show you how to get in front of the press in a way that they actually request information. So, Ed, thanks for coming on real quick with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and hi everyone who's watching this.
Great, great. So, Ed, you have journal requests, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So journal request kind of flips the PR model upside down. It's like you said, instead of kind of bombarding journalists with press releases and trying to get them to write about you, it's more being reactive to what journalists are writing about. So not many people know this, but journalists are often given a subject they need to write about by their editor. For example, a journalist might want to write about the coolest Internet of Things tech startups that are just happening right now. And so they don't necessarily know all these Internet of Things, startups. So they might put out a request saying, "Hey, looking for Internet of Things startups. I'm for a piece I'm writing." And obviously, if you're doing some sort of Internet of Things tech, it's a great chance to get some free press coverage. Journalists with things they don't want to write about being reactive to stories that they're currently writing. So that's what journal requests is all about. We find all these opportunities and things journalists are writing about, and then we send them to our subscribers by email.
Okay, and that's great. And I've actually been able to get on some press myself by sending in some expert opinion to different journalists that have asked for marketing advice or marketing points of view. And it really does work. I mean, I think CIO Magazine picked me up one time from just one of those type of requests. And like I say, it really does work because, like you stated, they're not experts in it. They just write about it, and they're looking for expert opinions. So with a company that's, let's say, an expert in fitness, having that point of view will help the story become a lot more relevant and accurate. So, Ed, when you're sending out these requests by email, I notice you get them; they're in a list. How do you filter out those that are worthy or those that are just, I guess, somebody? I don't know if they spam in that type of capacity, but how do you filter
Yeah,
that? How
sure.
do they come?
So we actually pick up all the requests from Twitter. So journalists will often jump on Twitter
Mhm.
to go to their followers, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm looking for whatever it is, like a fitness expert to comment on a piece they're writing." Um, and so we
Mhm.
pick up all these requests from a mixture of different hashtags that journalists use, and also by following some of the major journalists as well, because often they won't use any hashtags because they've got a big following. So we kind of pick these all up, but like you say,
Okay.
lots of them are lots of them are spam, lots of them are irrelevant, and so we actually drop about 70%, and we just keep the 30%, which are really good requests, which are actually journalists requesting stuff. Because one of the disadvantages of Twitter is anyone can post these
Mhm.
hashtags, anyone can post stuff, and so you can end up with a lot of rubbish on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's really why so many people have signed up to our service. We're now up to over 4,000 subscribers, which is pretty good considering how we haven't been
Oh,
around for that long
good.
really.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and people think we have some sort of really clever tech to do this, but truth be told, it's actually people in the
Hmm.
background. So as soon as anyone submits a request, we
Uh,
instantly, within sort of 30 seconds maximum, will classify the request. So we tell you
mhm.
whether it's spam or not, first of all. And then if it's not spam, we categorize it by topic.
Okay.
So is this a fitness related request? Is this a fashion related request or a tech one or a business one?
Hmm.
And so our subscribers can sign up to hear about
Hmm.
just the topics that will be of interest to them. So we kind of save you spending like all day on Twitter
Okay.
watching all these different hashtags and like trying to filter out all the spam manually yourself. And we just do it for you and just send you an email with the relevant stuff.
Okay. Okay. Now, I mean, when we get it, what's the best way to interact with them? Is it best to bombard them with things or have a conversation with them? I mean, what's the best way to interact? Once we see the email, we see something that we're interested in
Yeah, sure. So
contributing
you got this
to.
email, you've
What's
got
the
a
next
list of
step?
all these requests, and in our list of requests, we have a link to the tweet because all of this starts on Twitter. So the journalist originally posted their
Hmm.
request on Twitter, and we sent it up, picked it up, and sent it to you by email. So the best way to respond is just to click the link, the
Hmm.
reply on Twitter link from our email, and then get on Twitter and just start a conversation with the journalist. So the best thing to do, because journalists
Okay.
are hit with a lot of replies, is to give them a bit of a tease about why you're relevant to this particular request. So, for example, let's use the fitness example. Let's say a journalist is writing a story about fitness apps, and they need a fitness expert to comment on the
Hmm.
piece. Then, if you're a personal trainer, for example, you could respond to that request and say, "Hey, I'm a PT. I've been doing it for 10 years," and just give them some information about why you're relevant to the story they're writing, and say, "I'll be happy to provide a comment." And actually, the
Okay.
best people, or the ones who tend to get the most coverage from journal requests, will also send the journalist an email because lots of journalists put out
Hmm.
these requests on Twitter, and but they really live in their inbox. And so,
Hmm.
so you might want to give them like a very short sample in a tweet and say, "I've sent you
Okay.
more information by email," and then just give them everything they need immediately. The journalists, like, they get a lot of
Okay.
responses to these sort of requests, and so the best thing is just to make it as easy as possible for them to write their story without
Hmm.
having to ask you more questions, more follow-ups, because they're just going to click the next button in their inbox if you haven't given them the right information.
Okay. Okay. Now, do they usually provide you that email? I mean, since you're going through Twitter, is it in the link or is it something that you have to kind of
So the best
request
thing
it?
to do is
Hopefully
just
they give
look
it
up
to
their
you
email.
and you respond.
Lots of journalists who put out journal requests will include their email either in their
Hmm.
Twitter bio, or they freely share it on Twitter occasionally. So a really
Okay.
good trick if you want to try and find one of these journalists' emails is to search Twitter for at their hashtag, at their username, and then also include
Hmm.
the word email, and that will bring up any tweets from that
Hmm.
journalist where they've mentioned email. And so chances are one of them has their email in it,
They had their
which is a
email.
nifty trick. Yeah, because these journalists, like, they want to be contacted. They're
Oh,
putting out these
cool.
requests and they want you to send them
Oh,
relevant stuff. So it's often very easy to find their emails.
yeah. Okay. Now, what about response time? I mean, is there a certain period of time you have to be one of the first in the first 10 or
Yeah, so
first hour
it
or
definitely
first
helps to
day?
be faster,
What's the
and the
response
faster
time?
you are, the more likely you are to get picked up, and have your story covered, or get links to your website and be
Okay.
mentioned as part of the story they're writing. Um, there's not really a hard limit. Like, if you wait a day, sometimes that's
Okay.
okay. If you wait a week, like, probably it's not going to
Hmm.
get covered. And usually it depends on what kind of request has been put
Okay.
out and how many other people will be responding. Because if it's something more broad and also it's a really big opportunity, like,
Okay.
let's say the Guardian puts out a piece and they want to write about new startups that have just raised some funding, right? That's probably a request that would be relevant for lots of companies out there.
Hmm.
It's quite broad, it's quite generic, and also it's a really big opportunity. So if you wait,
Okay.
even a few hours might be too
Hmm.
slow in order to get that piece of coverage. You would probably need to be like in the first half an hour, I would expect. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but it kind of varies.
Okay. 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 And as far as follow up, is
So
there a proper
mostly for these
follow
kind
up
of requests,
technique?
I wouldn't bother following up necessarily. If the journalist hasn't responded to you, they're probably not going to write about you, and that's just the way it
Okay.
is. You might want to follow up purely to keep the relationship with
Okay.
the journalist, because if you've tried to give them some information for their story, you're trying to help them. They're usually
Okay.
quite receptive to that, and they'll often reply to you, and it's a good way to like start a relationship with these journalists. Yeah, exactly. You know, you might get a
Okay.
story run
Okay,
in
and
the
that might
future.
build to
Next time you're
something
sending
else
out a press
in the
release,
future.
you can probably call on that journalist and say, "Hey, remember me?"
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Now, I would say another question I hear is uh, format. Now, you said email. So, email is a lot of text, but now you have, audio, you have video. Have you seen any
To respond to the
advantages of
journalist. Is
using a
this?
different format versus text?
I think sometimes it can help to be creative,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I'd be very wary of using anything that the journalist isn't used to.
Okay.
So so really, you got to put yourself in the journalist's shoes, and they get hundreds of emails
Okay.
every day of people wanting them to write a story, and so they're just going to click next on their inbox. If they can't understand what you're saying or you're not getting the
Hmm.
information across immediately, they're just going to click next. And they've got this story to write, like let's say about fitness apps. And
Okay.
if you respond to them with, I don't know, let's say a video and they can't click through to it immediately or something, it just increases the barrier to them finding out what it is you're actually saying. And so if you've got a great video to share, that can be really good. But I would advise
Okay.
caution and at least include some text as well.
Okay. That's good advice. Good advice. So, any other best practices that you can think of in regards to getting in
Yeah,
their
sure.
line of sight and
So I think
good
really it's
graces
just
and
the three
print,
that
of
we've
course.
mentioned already. So one is you got to provide them with all the information they need immediately. Um,
Hmm.
so instead of saying, "Hey, I'm a relevant person. Would you like me to be part of the
Okay.
story?" Like they don't want that. They want you to reply with, "Hey, I'm a fitness instructor,
Hmm.
and this is my view on the way fitness apps are going and what I think the future is." Like something tangible they can already stick in their story because they're probably not going to follow up with you. They've probably got
Okay.
30 replies to this request, and they're just going to choose the
Okay.
ones that they can use immediately. So that's one thing. Just give them what they want. The
Okay.
second thing is reply by email and by Twitter.
Okay.
So just give them a very short snippet on Twitter and say, "I've sent you some more info by email," and then still keep the email
Okay.
quite short, but yeah, just what they want. And then
Okay.
the final thing is just be fast. So the faster you respond to these requests, the more likely you are to get
Okay.
coverage. And that's it, really. Like it's not rocket science, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, that's enough to really help though,
yeah,
because a
yeah.
lot of times we think it's complicated. We
Yeah,
think
right. I
that it's
know a lot of
something bigger
startups
than
in
what it
particular
may be. So that
when they
really
try and do their
helps.
PR, they think it's
Yeah.
some like black box. You don't know what it is, some sort of black magic. But it's really not. It's just um, contacting people, just
Hmm.
building relationships with people. Journalists are people. They're just very busy people who get a lot of emails. And if you can give them what they want, then you'll probably be part of their story. Because what they
Hmm.
want is to provide a good
Yeah.
story for their readers that their readers are going to share online and be engaged with.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So helping them get what they want will help you get what you want, and and that'll help you become an authority in your industry because press does work. So thanks, Ed, for that advice and that marketing strategy. I hope everyone enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. I know I did, and I know it helps to be fast and concise, and I like that because we're all busy as well. So that helps. So once again, this has been a marketing strategy session. I've had Ed on from Journal Request, and I encourage everyone to sign up for Journal Request so you can start getting in your inbox some of the requests that journalists have. And if you are an expert in your field, you can contribute and then reap the benefits of that from giving and sharing, and then of course becoming an authority in your industry. So this has been another marketing strategy
Yeah, it's been a
session,
pleasure.
and
Thank
I
you very much
really
for having
appreciate
me,
everybody
and hope
coming
you guys
on,
have
and
learned something.
appreciate Ed for contributing his knowledge.